Welcome to Nicomuras, a world full of sprawling cities and dark secrets. In the wake of the trial, a divine act of righteous judgment, the world has been launched into an era of rebirth. But there are those who still lust for darkness and ruin. Follow us across the continent of Talira, from the deserts of Elon Ryan to the fields of Rivaluna. Deep in the Bloomrose Ocean and high above the Alisar Mountains, our story will see our adventurers through glory, fear, and fortune as they make their way through the Paper Dungeon.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Paper Dungeon. We're so excited to have you guys here.
Woo!
This is going to be, definitely. This is going to be a small group shot with Drew playing his character Kathyr, Hannah playing her character Melora, and Ryan playing his character Havel. So this is picking up right after all of their guys' solo shots. Is there anything that you guys want to say before we get started? Anything like that?
I'm very excited to be here.
Fantastic.
Same. I apologize. I'm a little overexposed because Grant broke my lamp. so all I got is the poor lighting in this room.
That sucks.
Yep, that's unfortunate.
And for those of you who don't know, we love Grant very much, but he's a little ditz.
That's why we love him.
That's why we love him. Awesome. So, if you guys haven't had a chance to check out the solo shots, definitely go check it out, at least for these three, so you can kind of figure out where they are and what they're doing. You can check those out. The VOD should be on our YouTube channel at Paper Dungeon,
Correct.
or any of our social medias. You can go find all the links to that. Also on our website, thepaperdungeon.com, you can check them out. And then the podcast form of them is going to be on Podbean if you guys are interested in hearing the podcast while you're on the way to work or whatever. It's all really, really great, so that's super rad too. Is there anything else I need to say? Not sure.
Don't kill us.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Huh?
maybe that. Don't kill us. I think that should.
Don't hold back.
I don't know what you're talking about. For those of you who
Ryan
know,
wants us to
certain
die.
people are in certain situations and other people are in other situations. Everything will be fine. It will be great.
I accept death willingly.
Oof.
Sweet.
Oof.
Well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with this episode of the Paper Dungeon then. Andrew, Kathyr, you're Kathyr. He's Havel. Still
Yes.
gotta adjust to this. This is the first time we've had these characters together, so this is really exciting. Kathyr, where you left off in your one shot, ended up with you in a kind of fast-paced, sticky situation. If you remember, you'd been making your way down from your homeland through Vianola, the Forest of the Wood Elves. Coming along, you were following the Lunin-Kona mountain range south towards the country of Oclaron, where you knew that you were planning on heading to their capital, Athala, for different religious reasons. And as you've been making your way down, you ended up discovering, or you had a vision of this grove, this section of trees that encompass this oval of forested plant life covered in vines with these huge stone tiles beneath that, which had caused you to go out in search of this. And you eventually found this place after sneaking through some adversaries and trying to maintain a good distance. You managed to book it through to this little oval, at which point you weren't able to be pursued, and you were able to make your way down into what turned out to be a dungeon of sorts, or a cavern of sorts. And you began making your way down what seemed like a million stairs before eventually getting to a small hallway that was pretty dark on the end. You can see these two statues on the other side. And as you're beginning to make your way towards it, you heard a faint rumbling, a slow, but slowly building up yell as this beautiful wood elf came around the corner with her ginger hair flowing back and her little squirrel in her pocket, came barreling around the corner, followed closely behind by a black sludge substance flooding through behind her, and she goes booking it down the hall. Hannah,
Yeah.
I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
All right. Ooh, I'm very good at those.
Nice.
I'm not.
That is a 25.
Fantastic. So you go barreling around the corner and recognize this hall. You know that it's booby trapped. You know what's going
Right.
on. And so you manage to kind of tiptoe and dance your way through this hall, just barely trying to make it. And you're keeping your eye on the floor, trying not to see anything. And when you look up, still being chased by this flood, and you look up and you know that there's that character there. You knew that he was there, but
Right.
you weren't quite sure. You have this on your tail, so you're barreling through here. And just as you get to the end of it, you don't realize that he's a little closer than you thought he was, and you guys go crashing into each other, and kind of slam your foreheads together, and then you immediately feel a sense of almost this burning sensation on the inside of your arm, a little circle, but you can't quite tell what it is, both of you, before kind of rubbing your foreheads, and then you can feel this sludge begin to like pour in at your feet.
I stand up.
I was gonna say I
stand
pick
up.
her up, like pick her up onto her feet. I mean, as
Yeah.
I get up.
I react in a way because I've never had anyone else touch me in like years, and so I'm kind of like, that was weird.
And
I say, are you daft? Do you not understand that we're being
I
chased?
I
We need
just
to get
start
out of
pushing
here.
Your water's
I just start
about
pushing
up to
her
your
forward.
knees by
I'll back
now.
up the staircase.
I start
Yeah.
running. I start running
follow
again, and
behind.
I'm holding
Awesome.
Ginger close to me, and I'm just
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like thinking to myself, like, what was this crazy person doing? Does he not understand we're being chased?
Yeah, 100%. You go barreling up these stairs with this stranger close behind you. Kathyr, you're following this ginger-haired girl that you had kind of seen in your vision and kind of were expecting, but at the same time it was different. And then you guys go barreling up these stairs, and after about 2 minutes of going up these stairs, your legs are burning. They are tired. Go ahead and make Constitution saving throws for
All
me, guys.
right.
All
off
right,
to the
that's not so
races.
bad.
Oh, that's cocked. Ooh, that's not fantastic. Unfortunately.
That's a 13 for me.
That's an 11.
Okay, you guys are making your way, and you kind of have this newfound energy, like crashing into someone.
The
There's like all of
adrenaline.
so there's adrenaline and everything
We're
like
about
that.
to
So you
die.
go barreling up these stairs and manage to actually make a little bit of headway in front of the stream. It's not filling up quite as fast as it was the other tunnels. So you managed to get ahead of it, but you guys are beginning to slow down
Okay.
a little bit, and you can see you think that you're probably about at pace with the stream now. Go ahead and make one more.
I'm gonna, okay. Come on. Ooh,
That's a 15 for me.
that's worse for
Okay.
me. I'm a 9.
Yeah, so Melora, you go barreling up these stairs. You think of Ginger. You think of the fact that you can't lose her. You ain't gonna
course.
die like this.
Right.
And you go barreling up these stairs, and you make it the last half of the way up these stairs. Still burning, still tired, but you manage to keep your pace and go up. Kathyr, you are carrying armor and weapons, and you're a strong boy, but still, like, you're a heavy boy. And so as you're barreling up these stairs, you can see Melora, or this ginger-haired woman, kind of gaining a distance ahead of you before you realize that you're actually falling behind, not only from her as she's getting further ahead, but also you're getting closer to the sludge. I'm going to need you to make one more Constitution saving throw to see if you get sucked up into the sludge, Druby.
Whew.
No? Sweet. So
I'm-
you...
Can I just
Yeah.
say that I'm going to kind of like, ugh, and I'm going to turn back and I'm going to try to help him up.
Okay. Drew, go ahead and roll that Constitution saving throw one more time. And then I'll say that gives you advantage.
Better. Still not
Okay.
great. 5.
Oh,
By the way, I rolled I rolled a 2 and a 3.
Nice.
are you kidding me?
So, Melora, as you're barreling your way up these stairs, making your way, gaining distance, you kind of look back over your shoulder, and you can see Kathyr at this point has his sword out and is like hobbling along, trying to almost use it as a trekking pole, catch up.
This is great.
And so you turn around and start grabbing his arm, but you're not the strongest person on the planet, and he's wearing a lot of really heavy armor. So you start dragging him up, and you guys feel like you're probably making a little bit of time, but you're definitely losing ground. I will let one of you make a check again. Whoever
I'll
you
do
want.
it.
Sweet.
Does she have advantage?
Nope.
No.
No.
Well,
That's a 14.
well, she's been
Okay,
rolling better, so
perfect.
it's fine.
Yeah, you guys. So you can see as you go around, you look up, knowing that these are drop back or switchbacks. You can see there's a little like 1 foot gap that goes down, so you can kind of look up a little bit, and you look up a little bit, and you can see that you're only like 1 or 2 flights away from the entrance, and so you make one final push. You kind of drag Kathyr really nice and good, and manage to burst from the stone. As you get to the last flight of stairs, you can see that the stone cap lifts and then moves out of the way, just in time for you guys to breach the light before the stone returns and sucks back down, just as a little bit of the sludge begins to seep out the sides.
All right. I'm going to drop him, and I'm going to run towards a tree and start to climb it. I'm not going to yell back, and I'm like, climb a tree, you fool!
Okay, let me just do this real quick.
The hell down there? What? Oh, I'm not the climber.
What did you say?
Melora, what is your AC?
They're
16.
okay.
16? So
What are you doing in the forest if you're not a climber?
You drop him and go barreling towards a tree, and as you're like turning
hell down
around,
there?
you can see
can I grab her?
Kathyr reach out for you. Go for it. Go
Make
ahead
it like a
and-
dexterity check or something.
Yeah, go for a dexterity check.
I mean, that's just a solid check. It's an 11.
11.
I mean,
Yeah.
no, probably
so, not. No, probably not. So you go up and you reach out towards her to grab her, and she kind of scutters back and then turns to go climb up this tree. And as she turns, she comes face to face with this leatherback creature. You can see
Yep.
that it's about 7
My
feet
4 friends are
tall.
still here.
Your 4 friends are still here.
I'm
You can
sorry,
see that
what?
it's About
The hell
7 feet
down
tall,
there?
This hunched back creature with extended limbs, humanoid in nature, but the limbs are extended past what would be normal. The forearms beefier and longer, reaching down almost in a gorilla-like stance with this faceless head that has a hole right where the face should be.
This is
and
what
you
I
can see
get for
rows
helping people.
of rotating teeth. And as you go barreling past it, it takes a swipe at you, not quite hitting you, but just grabbing at the end of your cloak before you make it to the base of a tree. Are you gonna try and climb it?
Aye.
Roll a acrobatic check or an athletics, whichever is better.
That's a 16.
Yeah, you go shimmying up this tree, more so out of fear of the situation that you're now in than
I'm muttering myself the whole time, kind of like, now I finally feel the feeling to be nice to another person, and what does it get me? It gets me in trouble. And I'm like,
Yeah. And you guys are now sitting here. You now can look down and you can see there's 4 of these creatures surrounding this outer
My 4
oval.
friends are still here. They were waiting for me.
you failed to mention them, thank you very much.
Now hold on, I wasn't the one that ran off.
No, I'm sorry, but I wasn't the one that was staying and thinking about your 4 friends when I was running from black sludge, now was I?
Well, I wasn't the one that got myself running for black sludge.
I
Now
get
was
my
I?
arrows out and I shoot one of them with one of my arrows.
Okay, roll the hit.
I mean, she's the one in the tree, so like she's the safe one.
Aye.
Well, actually, I'm probably the more safe one. Actually,
Just 1 second. Oh, that's very nice. It's a 22.
Oh, yeah, definitely hits.
Alright. That is... Oh, just kidding, I've rolled the wrong dice. I get to roll a d8 for my longbow. That's 11 damage.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice. You take out your bow, and you pull an arrow from this new quiver that you have, this gold trimmed quiver with the green details, and you pull out an arrow, just one of your regular arrows, and you pull it back and launch it, and it goes right through the center of the mouth of this creature. There's rotating barbs inside its mouth and out the backside, and you can see that it's very like wobbling and was
it's
not
still-
expecting that.
Kathyr is very.
Still not dead.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that was impressive. I'm going to be honest.
Thank you very much.
I need you guys to roll initiative.
Now, what die do I use? All 3 of them have been.
That's good.
haven't been good to me right now. Oh, nope, that's still not good. By the way, Kathyr is the first character I've ever played who has a bad dex. Or I shouldn't say a bad dex, just a dex that is a plus.
I played with someone that got a -1 initiative because of their dex, and I was like,
Yeah, it's not that bad for me, but it's just a solid +0. So
I get to +5.
yeah, no.
Which I'm sure you could guess by my ability to climb a tree.
Yeah, it's nice.
Awesome. 25 to 20. 20 to 15.
Yeah, where is that +5?
It's coming in because I got a bad roll, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, great. They're going before us.
Of course they are.
15 to 10.
That is a 14.
14. Okay. 10 to 5.
8.
8, you say. Okay.
Eight's really close to 20, Mr. DM, sir.
Oh,
Is
it?
It's like, it's literally just one little edge over, like...
It's one little roll.
Yeah.
It's one little piece of friction.
Exactly, so, like, I mean, it's close enough, right?
So, as you launch the arrow, you're now able to kind of survey the scene a little more, and you can see that there's 4 of these creatures, skin tightly pulled over their skeletal body with these gray, patchy, reddish tints that go into their skin.
Have I ever seen anything like this before?
No, by no means.
I make sure that Ginger can't see it.
Definitely.
That would scare the crap out of her.
Yeah. Definitely. And you go through, you can see that these creatures, their spine is beginning to protrude from their back.
Ugh.
They have stringy, greasy hair that's pulled over their heads.
Now, just what were you doing? They got these creatures mixed up with you.
Well, I'll explain that after we kill them.
Yeah. And you can see the one that you shot is very wobbling, but has now put its 2 front hands, quote unquote, on the tree and has begun to like reach up towards you. And its hind legs are about 6 feet long. It has a good torso and then its arms are up, so it's about a foot beneath you.
Can I try to kick it?
It is not your turn. So you can see Kathyr. There's another creature that comes up. The one closest to you comes up behind you, but it can't step onto that tile, as you know. You can see that it kind of like starts like almost guerrilla tactics, like pounding its fists.
I just glare at him and be like, that's right. You better stay where you belong. You know you can't come
At
here.
which point he turns and kind of like kicks back a little bit, and you can see that the dust can travel over onto the
I would assume dust.
onto the plate, and it kind of looks back before reaching over and finding a stone probably about 6 to 8 inches in diameter, and it turns to you and chucks it at you.
That's right.
That's called adaption.
I just threw my dice all the way across the desk.
Oh, it's gone forever.
Ooh, that's a natural 1.
I catch it. Correction. I take out my sword and slice the rock in half as it comes towards me.
So it goes barreling towards you, and you go to slice at it, but you're just a little too slow. But thankfully, you dodge it just enough, and it clocks the one that Melora hit in the back of the head. At which point it reaches up one more, and it just like is about to like brush your ankle, Melora, before it kind of topples over. As you can see, like this stone is embedded in the back of its head.
I'm 2 for 2 now.
Was that 2?
At which point it is the third creature's turn. So you can see the one far in the distance. Kathyr, as you look out, you can see, the large
big
one.
Yeah.
The big one. The one that's about
sorry.
15 feet tall.
I beg your pardon.
Moving its way over.
Yep. That's the
and
one
it starts to charge. It begins to charge, and it goes barreling towards you, at which point it ducks its shoulder and slams into what appears to be this orangish gold barrier that surrounds the stones. And you can actually see, for just a moment, its shoulder like penetrates through it before being like shoved out.
Nice.
At which point it brings us to Melora's turn.
All right. I would like to take out my arrow and aim it at the head of the big one that I just saw.
Okay, go ahead, roll it.
That's a 21.
Oh, you definitely hit.
All right. That's what I like to hear. And that's 8 damage. Not as good as the first one, but
So that was...
Do I have a bonus action?
Or you
Yes.
just have a bonus action. Yes, those exist.
Just two weapon
You do
fighting.
have a bonus action. Whatever you want to do with it is up to you.
But I mean, like, do I have a certain ability? I have two weapon fighting, but I don't know if that works when you use a
Do
longbow.
you have Hunter's Mark?
I believe it's
No,
just
not
from
yet.
melee
It's
weapons.
a shame.
I don't get that until second
That's
level,
a
I
shame.
think. I know.
You guys definitely aren't that
Yeah.
yet. Cool. Is there anything else that you want to do on your turn?
I suppose I'm going to... the tree that I climbed, is there another tree that's closer to this elf that...
So, the trees that surround the grove are all fairly sparse.
Right.
You remember that as you went in, like it was like the grove itself was pretty
Right.
clear, and there's no trees that were growing on the stones.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably about 30 feet away from him at the moment.
Now, the creatures, they're going after him, no?
It seems like it. There was one that went after you.
Alright. Probably because I hit it.
I mean, that one's dead
I'm
now,
going-
though. So
Right. I'm going to try to stealthily get down to move to another tree that's closer to climb that one instead.
Okay. So yeah, we'll use that. If you're moving stealthy, that'll be half your movement. So basically, you get down the tree at the moment because it's half your movement and half your movement to get down. So you have like 7
Right.
feet. So we'll say that you get down to the base of the tree, and that's where we'll end your turn. Sound good?
Alright.
Awesome. So that brings us to the last one. On the far side, you can see there's one more of the smaller creatures. And it begins just slowly making its way over. But this time it kind of goes around towards the large creature, and it can see that it's almost... It doesn't have a nose or a face, but it's almost like listening or smelling for just a little moment, and it kind of looks around and starts smelling before... Let me just double check. Yeah, definitely. Before it kind of... Again, it doesn't have eyes, but it seems like it almost locks onto you, Melora, and begins making its
I
way
have
towards you
something.
a little quicker.
Maybe I took something.
At which point, it's Kathyr's turn.
neat. Okay. Do I see her? Okay.
She's at the base of her
And
tree.
there's none of these. None of my friends are near her. Correct.
No, the closest one would probably be about 25 feet away.
Okay.
Well, actually, there's two of them because there's the big
Yeah.
one that's about 25 feet away, and then there's the small one that's right next to the big one, and they're both the closest ones. And then the other one is close to you.
Right. Okay. Well, shoot. I guess I'm gonna do what I can because I don't want them to fight her. So I'm gonna make my way across the other side towards the ones closer to Melora,
Okay.
and I'm gonna slash at the big one while staying
All right, go
inside the circle.
Perfect. Yeah, go for it. Roll a hit.
All right. Combat die. Don't fail me now, please. Come on. I miss. That's a 4 plus 5, so 9.
Not quite. So you go in, and you go in to slice at this thing, and you can see as you get closer that the skin on it, the hide on these creatures is thick and tough. And this one particularly, the forearms get a lot wider, kind of like how gorillas' forearms get wider, where it's really spindly along the bicep, and then it's very wide and beefy, going into almost like this fist-like situation. And there are like bulbs of tough tissue and cartilage along the forearm they don't necessarily sharpen by any means, but they're definitely a lot tougher at the tips, much more hard thing to be hit with.
Yeah.
And as you go in, you scratch along these bulbs, and it doesn't quite make it bleed or anything like that. Nothing that really causes it any pain.
Okay. Okay, so for my bonus action, would you allow me to... I'm just going to be like, hey, how about you face someone your own size? And I will just attempt to taunt.
Okay, got it. I'll keep that in mind. Cool.
Can I roll a persuasion check?
I feel like that'd be more intimidation.
Well, 1 or 2, I don't really care. Either way, I
So
take either roll.
you go and you go sprinting across this circle, and as soon as you do, the one that was close to you, that threw a rock at you, goes barreling along the edge of the circle to follow you. trying to find. You can see it's like searching through the grass as it's going, and it manages to find a little bit of a smaller stone, probably about 2 inches in diameter, and it chucks it at you, whizzing it at you. That's a natural 3. So it goes whizzing past you and just glances off your shoulder, the shield on your back. It just goes dinging off of it. At which point, yes. So then the big one looks down at you. Its face a little more beefy, while the small ones are all very spindly and grotesque in how elongated their features are. This one's a little bit beefier, still pretty good, like still very spindly biceps and thighs that go into the thicker sections. But instead of having like a long elongated neck that goes into kind of a round head, this one's very like small neck, very beefed along the shoulders with a very big, almost like ovalish head. And it kind of looks down at you and it goes in to reach and it begins pressing on the barrier, and you can see that it begins to just barely get the edges of its thick, beefy fingers through the barrier before it kind of gets shoved out, at which point it like pounds its fists into the ground, and the whole ground around you shakes. That's going to be his turn. Then it's going to be Melora's turn.
All right. Now, did I notice the one that locked eyes with me?
Yeah, probably. I'd say you'd probably notice it.
I'm going to take out another arrow and shoot one at him. And aiming for
it.
the head.
Perfect. Yeah, the big one, so the way that works is it's an oval, and you're like here, and then the 2 are over here, and it's just on the other side of the big one, so it's kind of just behind it a little bit. So I'll say it has partial cover. Let me just double check how much cover.
I think it's +2 partial.
Yes. Yeah, it's +2. Exactly, yep.
24.
Doesn't matter.
You let me go through all that work just to do that.
It. I saw the smug expression.
Fantastic.
That's 10 damage.
Snipe it. Wow. Oof.
See, it's a good thing Melora's here, because otherwise
That's
Kathyr
not
would already
good.
be dead.
Yeah, right? You said 10 damage?
Aye.
Oh my gosh. You my gosh. Okay, not quite down. You embed an arrow in its chest, and it's kind of wimping, and it doesn't say anything. They're all silent, aside from their expressions of frustration when they're like pounding the ground and looking around. But it begins like pounding its fist and kind of reaching up around, not really being able to grab, but kind of like just rubbing around the wound.
All right. So that was my action, but my question is, do you think at this point I've noticed that they can't get onto the circle?
100%.
All right. If I have a movement of 35, can I get to the circle without provoking
100%.
Opportunity attack? I'd like to do that.
Definitely. You book it into the circle, just barely like grazing through, and you can feel the border pass you as you go in. You're about 5 feet in the circle, probably about 15 feet from Kathyr at the moment.
All right. That's my turn.
Fantastic. So the one that you just hit kind of looks at you and realizes that you went into the circle, at which point it just goes over and it hits just behind the tree, just enough that it can poke its head out around, but it now has basically full coverage at the moment.
All right.
Nice. So.
That's that one. It's that one. Okay, that brings us to Kathyr's turn.
Okay. I still got the big guy in front of me, right? Big guy and one other, or...
And there's one other about 10 feet behind you to your right, the one that originally chucked the big old rock at you.
Okay. And then Melora's now in the circle, so that's good. I'm gonna attempt to swing at this guy again.
Okay, go for it. Roll a hit.
Oh, that's cocked, even though I would love to take that. Whoo! That's a crit!
Ooh!
It's about time, don't you think?
Yes!
Fantastic.
I wish I could Divine Smite right now.
Max damage plus the roll.
Yep. Alright, so we're gonna use...
For those of you who don't know at home, we changed the way that we do crits because we want crits to actually feel like they're doing something. So the way it works for us is you do the max damage die. So if you're rolling a d10, you do 10 damage, and then you get to roll a d10, whatever that is, plus your bonuses.
17 points of damage.
17 points of damage.
Rolled a 6 on die,
Wow.
plus 3, and then plus 8. So, feels good.
Nice, Drew. Yeah, you go through and you step out of the circle just a little bit, just enough to get a big sweep. And you manage to, instead of getting one of the limbs or one of the arms, you sweep in just enough to kind of cut through and cut along the hip, across the chest, and out the clavicle. You can actually see that you split the clavicle, and there's like different jarred bones coming out, dealing quite a bit of damage. At which point it reels back onto its back, all like brushing on against its arm before like rolling over onto its side and beginning to stand up. That's your action. Do you have anything you want to do with your bonus action?
Since I haven't technically taken it out yet, I'm going to take out my shield.
Nice.
And then
definitely.
I'm staying in my guard and just standing at the ready to go and
Perfect.
go at this thing again.
I'm assuming you step back into the circle.
If I could, yes, I will stay within the circle as long as I'm still within 5 feet.
Okay. Yeah, you can stay just within 5 feet. You're like right on the border of the circle. Rad. That takes us back to their first boy. So the one that chucked the stone at you can see that you're like half in and half out of the circle. So it goes rushing over towards you, and it's going to swipe at you.
Okay.
Okay. There we go. Does a 14 hit? Dang it. So it goes swiping in, and you just manage to step back and roll your shoulder back behind the barrier just enough that it goes swiping and drags its hand across the barrier, kind of reeling and looking back
you
before
don't.
wanting to swipe again. That's its turn. It brings it to the large creature's turn, the large one of this. And it kind of stands up and goes, and it gets on its hind legs and stands at its full height, probably about 22 feet in total, before bringing its hands down to crash on you. Ooh, yeah, that's going to work. Does a 20 not nat hit. Perfect. So, 1, 6. Okay. Oof. Nice. So 7. 9 points of bludgeoning damage.
Where did I?
Ouch!
That does not. Yeah, correct. That does not feel good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And you're currently on the ground. It like landed down on you, and so you're on the ground. You'll have to get up from being prone.
Okay. Nice.
Perfect.
No, it wouldn't have killed
good
you.
stuff.
It would knock you unconscious.
Awesome. So that's his turn. Melora, it is your turn.
All right, I'm going to shoot an arrow at the one that just attacked him.
Okay, perfect. Roll for it. Roll. to hit.
Come on.
Does a 16 hit?
It does.
Yes.
Thank God.
Yes.
I got a little nervous. I was like, that's not as high as I've been rolling. All right, that's another 10
it's
damage.
not in the upper to mid 20s.
That's another 10 damage.
Fantastic. So it goes crashing down, and you can see it's beginning to kind of almost like stomp around on Kathyr, and you notch an arrow and launch it, and it sends it through its jugular up to the fletchings, at which point this creature stops for just a second before just kind of rocking forward as being a very top-heavy creature onto Kathyr, pinning him down.
Oh, well, I mean, hold
Sorry
on.
about
Would
that.
I hit the barrier and they kind of,
It's dead now.
Would I have, like, fallen backwards, maybe,
No,
into
nope,
the barrier?
That's going to bring it to the fourth ones. So the creature that, Melora, you knew was kind of pinned on you, you can't quite see it anymore.
All right.
That one. Kathyr, your turn.
Okay.
You currently have probably about a 600-pound humanoid beast laying on you.
Yep. How much of me is covered?
The head of it is resting on your
Nice.
chest.
Solid.
And everything else is beneath its shoulders.
What is near me?
You can see that you have your shield next to you. Your sword's probably about 2 or 3 feet away. You probably could reach it.
Yeah.
And then there's the other.
Creature-wise, what's next? Anywhere?
There's the other creature. Thankfully, it seems like your legs are what's outside the barrier, and your chest and torso are inside the barrier.
Solid.
So it's gonna have. You can see that the creature is looking like eyeballing you hardcore, and it wants to get to you.
Without like worrying about getting up, can I access? Can I finagle and get out a javelin?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, I would like to do that, and as an action, chuck it at that thing.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll say it was your bonus action to kind of maneuver
Sure,
that
sure,
javelin,
sure.
and then I'll allow you to chuck
Sure.
it.
Oh, it's not my night so far. So yeah, that's a number that exists. I miss.
You miss?
Yep.
What's the number?
2 on die.
Okay, yeah, you miss.
So
So you go in and you're like,
I'm like
because you can't
hidden
really
under
reel
this
back.
thing.
You're like trying to like sidearm throw it, kind of like
I'm
a frisbee. You just kind of like,
lobbing it over this thing's head.
and you go, "Ugh," and it goes like a foot and kind of just like, and then falls over.
Well, at least I can recover that javelin. You know.
Yeah, you know. Right?
Could I?
do you have
Okay,
anything
so
else?
then could I, using my 30 feet of movement, just attempt to like using my elbows, just like crawl myself backwards, kicking
You can
with my
begin
feet
to
and-
make
and,
your
like,
way.
Just
Yeah,
kind of shimmy my
You're
way
not
out
quite
from
free
underneath.
yet. You're not quite free yet. But you're pretty close. It's like on your thighs now.
Okay.
But you can now sit up in the
That's good.
in the
That's
thing,
good.
in the barrier. Which point that brings us to that creature. The one that you have from day one. All it wants to do is just hit you. That's all it wants. It goes running up towards you and grabs the shoulder of the big one and throws it back, flipping the whole creature over before stomping at your ankles.
Nice.
This creature cannot roll well.
That's a
at
good
all.
thing.
Does an 8 hit
No.
you?
It just
So
starts like biting.
it
at my
goes
ankles, I just
stomping
start kicking
in
it.
at your ankles. Yeah, and you kind of push yourself back before like kicking it at its like forearms and stuff. That's its turn. That brings us to that one's dead. Melora, your turn.
All right, I'm going to shoot an arrow at the one that just tried to attack him.
Perfect.
That's the
go
last
for it.
one, right?
That you can see.
All right. That's not so good. That's a 15.
That hits.
Oh, thank God.
You guys are level 1. I promise.
We weren't even supposed to fight these things.
That was shoot. I forgot.
Wow, I'm really
So-
red. I'm gonna have to throw a
Yeah, I
light
was
on.
gonna say
Plus-
something got
All right,
Messed
that's
up.
9 damage.
9 damage.
nice.
Pretty close. Yeah, you go and you launch another arrow, same spot, clavicle, and it goes kind of reeling back before, like launching itself at the barrier, and it's currently like rubbing its face like against the barrier.
Okay.
Now, hypothetically, could I take my movement to go towards Kathyr to pull him into the circle?
100%.
I'm going to do that, and while I do, I'm going to kind of say, can you at least try not to get yourself hurt?
No
Yeah.
response.
So you use your 15 feet to get over there, and then it's half your feet because you're dragging a prone creature, and so you manage to get him about 5 or so feet back from the edge of the border.
All right. Once I do, I
Totally.
drop him.
Yeah, 100%. This guy is just dead weight. Totally not worth it. Not
Right.
worth
Hold
the
on, I hit
problems.
the thing really good once.
Yeah, once.
Really good ones. So that's going to take us to that one, which you can't see. It's going to do.
A thing.
I literally just threw my dice across my room.
Nice. Solid.
It like rolled off under my computer and off the desk across my bed. So we're just going to use this guy, of course.
See, this is great.
What's your guys' passive perceptions?
I have a 16.
13.
Okay. Yeah, so Melora, you can see out of the corner of your eye the creature that you hit that kind of went back behind the tree kind of shimmies across to another tree, probably about 60 feet past that second one. Not 60 feet, 30 feet past that second one.
How much?
So, yeah, it goes boogieing over there before ducking behind the tree.
All right.
And that's that one. That one. Kathyr, it is your turn.
Okay. Okay. So Melora like dragged me like into the rest of the circle.
Yeah, you're about 5 feet from the edge of the border.
Okay. I will more or less. I will kind of like, if I can, pick up, grab my blade off the ground, and basically in one fluid motion, attempt to do an upward strike as I stand up towards this creature.
Yeah, definitely. Roll a hit, dude.
Come on. Oh, come on. 10.
10. AC is 11.
Nice.
So sorry. So you go standing up, and it just grazes across its chest, still causing it to bleed, but not causing any hit points of damage. Not quite.
Am I
close
fully
enough.
in the circle
She
right
dragged you
now?
back just a little further. You're fully in the
Cool.
circle. She dragged you back just a little further than you thought, and your blade wasn't quite as long.
Nice.
You still have a bonus action though.
To do what?
Whatever you can do with your
I
bonus
can't do
action.
anything with the bonus action. I will. Yeah, no. I'll just stand my ground where I am, I guess.
Fantastic. That's Kathyr. Boom. Big one. So the creature that's currently dragging its face across the border steps back for just a little bit before slamming back into it. Steps back and slams back into it one more time.
Question.
Yeah.
Does he actually like move like a measurable distance away?
Not that you can. A little bit. He's moving back about probably 10 feet.
Because I was gonna
or
say,
so.
can I get an opportunity attack as he moves away?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. 21 to hit.
That hits.
Okay, cool.
That's much better.
Max damage. So 11 points of damage.
Definitely. So you swing up with this blade, just barely grazing it as you're standing, and you can see that it kind of reels back for just a second, and it goes to slam its face back in. And as it does, you just quick bring your blade across and cut right through the neck, causing the head to roll off its shoulders and just collapse into the circle. At which point, you guys are out of combat.
Just breathe in heavy.
Now, do you want to tell me what you did to get these kinds of creatures following you?
I take out a rag and clean off my blade. I sheath it, pick up my shield. Well, if I'm honest, I kind of just pick myself up, kind of holding my side. Well, I was trying to find you.
I'm sorry.
Do you mind if I just walk over and like sit down close towards the center of the circle? I just like start to like take off my bag and kind of set it down and just start holding
Yes,
my wound.
please. Make yourself at home.
Well, you see here, well, how do I explain this?
Much better.
You might want to figure it out.
I am what you call a man of faith, and I have been traveling for weeks now, and towards the beginning of my journey, I had a dream. Actually, I was traveling and I found this forest, and I found this grove here, actually, and here is where I actually found you. Where I saw an image of you, I suppose.
You had a dream about me.
Well,
Do you understand how creepy you sound?
yes, I do actually. I am very new to this. But basically, I saw you carrying some sort of rod with the crystal on it, and you're crying out for help. And so I suppose after that I just started following where my feet took me, and eventually that led me here, where I found this entryway and ran into you. And
Well, you call these creatures your friends.
well, friends are more of a humorous term. This area seems to be very infested with them, and I am not very, as you can tell, I'm not very dexterous.
I can tell that myself.
And I make a lot of noise, so it wasn't hard for them to catch on to me. But after I got into the circle, it seemed that I was alright.
This rod that you saw me carrying, I take it out of my bag. Did it look like this?
Does it look
So
like it,
you,
DM?
you see her carrying. It's about a 4-inch rod of an unknown metal with a rim around the top of it, and out of that rim comes this one single amethyst crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks exactly like the rod that she was carrying.
In my vision? Okay.
In your vision, yeah.
Yes. It looks exactly like that, actually.
So what exactly does that mean?
Why? I don't know. I believe in fate, and you could say I try to follow it as best I can. and I just trying to help, I suppose. Do you mind if I look at it? It's
I suppose.
all right. I'll just inspect it. There was a word at the top of it, of the crystal.
Yeah, so across that rim of metal, which you recognize as a warrior as Verstrusium, which is the strongest metal on the planet.
Rod is
there's
made
this
of
little
Verstrusium?
No, the rod itself is not made out of Verstrusium. It's just that little band across the top. Let me see if I can't spell it for you guys. One second. Perfect.
Shameless
100%.
plug.
Okay.
Vastrusium is spelled VASTRIUCIUM.
Okay. Okay.
Vastrusium.
IU.
I'll be right back.
Okay. 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 And he left. Huh. Well, this is very interesting. Where did you find this?
I found it in the cave,
Oh,
among other things.
among other things. Well, all right then. Well, I would ask the DM if I knew what this said, but he's not here right now.
I'm right here. Sorry.
Do I know what the word means, or do I recognize the word at all?
Roll a history check.
Okay. That's a number that exists. Ooh. 18.
Okay. As you have been studying and trying to educate yourself on different religions, especially with those regarding that of fate, you have come across a couple different books that speak of an ancient language unbeknownst to the vast majority of people, something long forgotten. It doesn't have a name to it, so you don't know the dialect of it. But you do know that ancient powerful artifacts were usually had this language that but is what was used to imbibe them with magical properties. And you get the sense, based off the clear age of this rod and the little bit that you know of this language, that it's of the dialect and vernacular of that language.
Interesting. I will hand the rod back to Melora. By the way, I'm Kathyr.
I'm Melora.
Melora.
This is Ginger.
I give a slight bow. Well, it's very nice to meet you both.
She kind of like chirps at you before like going back into her pocket.
So where are you from? You're not from here, are you?
I am.
You are.
I live here.
Like this area.
Aye.
This area, mainly.
Well, not this area in particular, just the forest. This is my home.
Oh, the forest. Okay, that's okay.
You clearly are not from around
I'm
here.
not. I'm from Fair North.
Alright.
I'm.
What are you... So you just happened to have a dream about me and be here by happenstance?
Well, to be honest, the reason I was traveling to begin with was not because of you. I'm making my way south to Athala.
Why would you want to go there?
Well, I'm looking for answers, I suppose you could say.
Didn't know what you could find in the city that you can't find in the forest.
Well, there's a lot more books in a city than there are in a forest.
I suppose.
So, that's where I'm going, because that's, like I said, I consider myself a man of faith, but I am somewhat uneducated in that realm of the world.
I see. Well, it seems to me like you can't take care of yourself.
Well, if I'm honest, it's been a while since I've fought creatures.
I can see that. Well, it was very nice meeting you. I'll be on my way.
Nice. So you begin making your way along the path that you knew that you took to get here, going back to your homeland. And you get about 120 feet away from Kathyr when the circle in the inside of your arm burns and flares, and it actually burns to the point that it burns a hole in your clothing, at which point you can see scarred into your flesh there's a circle on the inside of your bicep.
Does a similar thing happen to me?
The exact same thing happens to you.
Oh my God.
Do I hear him?
You can hear him. Well, Drew, do you scream?
Well, I grunt. I don't scream.
Yeah, it's not to the point that you cause any like hit points of damage, so it's not huge, but it is very, very painful. And at this point, as you continue to keep going, it continues to burn.
I turn around. Is he clutching his arm?
Yes.
What did you do to me?
What did I do? What did you do?
I
You're the
start
one who
running at
crashed.
him.
You crashed into me.
Are you kidding me? You're the one that came here to find me because you had some dream or some religious prowess about yourself, and now I cannot leave you. Are you kidding me?
Well,
Do you see what the kind of predicament you've put me in? I do not like people, alright? I want to leave. And look what you've done to me.
to be fair, I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, that's very convenient, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I don't, what do you want me to say, Melora? I'm a traveler. That's the best I could say. I'm not from here. I don't know what's going on. I'm looking for answers. And like we said before.
Well, you're not gonna find the answers sitting on the ground with your weapons off of your person.
Well, that's very true, but I don't plan on going anywhere very quickly right now when I'm very injured. But
you expect me to have to stay here and sleep here because you feel it's more convenient for you?
Question, Mr. DM, sir.
Yes, sir.
By then, could it have been a short rest? By now?
No. It has not been an hour.
Cool. Yeah, no. So, still like clutching my bleeding body.
Yep.
I look to her. Well, you do what you want, I suppose. I can't stop you. But I'm staying here because I'm very hurt. And I don't plan on dying, because those creatures are still out there.
Well, it's a good thing I have to stick around, because you cannot take care of yourself, and I saved you. I know. I start talking to Ginger. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
She immediately begins to agree and chirp back.
I just,
Thank you.
holding my side, I look at my bag and just start taking out, like, whatever I can to wrap myself up.
Yeah, you have a spare cloak that you can wrap around, and definitely take care of yourself with.
Now, when I'm seeing him wrap around, does it look like he's doing a poor job, like a bang-up job? Like I could do better?
Drew, roll a medicine check.
Let's see, what die should I use? I should use this one for this. It makes sense. Oop, well, apparently not. Medicine?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a plus 7.
So, Melora, you look at him, and his arm is shaking as he's trying to do this. And you can see that he's beginning to lose quite a bit of blood as he's like trying to wrap this around himself and tie this in. And you very much feel like you could do a much better job than he is.
I take this in, and I'm just like, God, will you just let me do it? And I go around, I'm going to wrap him up, and I'm going to mutter to myself the whole time and just be like, what the are you doing in the forest? You cannot take care of yourself. This is why I don't help people. I didn't know how I got into this situation, and now you're here and I have to take care of you. I'm not a mother, alright? And I'm just like muttering to myself as I wrap him.
Go ahead and roll a medicine check yourself.
That's much better. That's
Okay,
a 19.
I was really hoping. Nice. Yeah, this is flawless. Classic bandage. This is perfect. It will soak up the blood. It will prevent the bleeding. You even use some of that herb that you used when you got shot to kind of help clot the wound and keep it clean and stuff like that. Easily much better job than what Kathyr did for himself.
Now,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Try not to get yourself killed while I go to my tree, alright? And I walk away, and I start to climb my tree.
What time is it?
Closest one to him. Yeah, what time is it?
It's probably about dusk, around dusk.
Alright, I'm just going to say, try not to get yourself killed. I am done emotionally, physically, mentally with the events that occurred today. So I'm going to take my rest in my tree, but I'm going to stay nearby, not only because I have to, but because you clearly cannot take care of yourself. Alright? Good night.
Nice. Who currently has the rod?
She does.
I do.
You do? Okay. Sweet.
If I may, as I'm, setting up my camp, I will light a small fire.
Okay.
Just to kind of
as soon as
warm.
you do, the vines that you're laying on that have covered this stonework immediately like retract and retreat. The longer that you've been staying there, they've been beginning to slowly creep up on you.
I forgot about that.
And so you light this fire, and it slowly, not slowly, but they all immediately retract and stay a little bit away from you, probably about the amount of dim light, about 5 feet in diameter.
Does he struggle to make the fire?
No. He's doing okay. You've kind of stabilized his wound, and he's beginning to feel a little bit better. You can see that his hand isn't shaking anywhere, or anything like that, and he manages to get a fire together.
I mutter to Ginger, I'm like, well, at least he can do something for himself, eh? As I climb the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Is there anything else that you guys plan to do tonight?
I would like to write. Kathyr would like to write in his notes
Fantastic.
about his much more interesting day than his past several weeks of travel.
100%.
And he will mutter to himself something.
Mm-hmm.
A small prayer that is inaudible, basically.
Okay. Perfect. Anything that you're going to do, Melora, before you go to bed?
I'm going... Oh, before... Actually, I know that I should have said this before I climbed the tree, but could I retrieve my arrows?
Yeah, 100%. Roll a
All
d4.
right. 2.
You get 2 arrows back.
Alright. And while I'm in the tree, I'm kind of cleaning it, but I'm also sharpening them because, sometimes once they make contact, they're kind of dulled. So I'm going to spend the time just sharpening it and just talking to Ginger about how I kind of believe what's happened. And just kind of venting to her about how, I spend so long trying to avoid the contact of another elf or just another humanoid in general. And now not only do I have to talk to one, I'm stuck. And I'm just kind of like frustrated. But at the same time, although Ginger cannot speak to me, I'm going to have a one-sided conversation that's kind of just like, well, of course I like talking, but I like talking to you. Doesn't need to be another elf.
By the way, because I thought about this, before I go to bed, I would like to use Divine Sense again.
Okay. It's 60 feet,
Yes.
right? You currently don't feel anything.
And how far? And Melora's 30 feet away from me.
About 30 feet away.
And there's and I don't sense anything.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm not speaking very loud.
So that's 30 feet
I'm
beyond.
just like having like a hushed conversation with Ginger, but I'm kind of talking where I'm just like, I didn't want other humanoid contact, alright? Yeah, sure, maybe I'm lonely, but I have you, okay? So I don't need another person, alright? Stop bothering me about it. I don't want it.
It's at about this time that Kathyr actually walks over to her tree that she's in, just quietly, with a small torch in his hand. And after I get to the base of the tree, I will use Divine Sense again.
Okay. You don't feel anything?
Okay. So that I at least know there's nothing within 60 feet of her. That's good. And I will walk back to my, if I could, actually. Are there any, branches or, like just on the ground or something?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to just take one, or maybe a couple, and then take that back to my little campfire and just slowly start carving away at them, and attempting to remake my holy symbol.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can definitely do that. You don't quite get finished with it tonight before you really start to get sleepy and tired, but you get a good start on it. Is there anything else that you guys want to finish?
Basically, the conversation ends with me, pretending to be upset with Ginger for telling me that I might enjoy this, even though she obviously can't speak to me.
This
It'll just be kind of like, you know what, I'm done talking about this, alright? I don't need another person, I only have you and myself, and that's fine, alright? Now just go to bed. And I'm gonna offer my pocket, or I'm gonna offer my lap, whichever one she wants to take.
I love this. This is so great.
She stuffs into your pocket before curling up and begins to faintly. You can feel her breathing against your chest.
You're lucky you're cute, you know that?
As the night sets in, it gets a little chilly. Are either of you guys keeping watch?
I'm probably... I mean, we didn't coordinate.
Nope.
So there's no way of knowing if he's keeping watch or if I'm keeping watch. I'm going to assume that he's not because he seemed pretty beat up and probably needed to go to bed. So I'll probably keep watch for a couple hours, knowing that he probably might not be able to watch me, but that I'm probably safer than he is, incapacitated. So...
Nice. Yeah, you stay there for a few hours before finally going to bed. Kathyr, you go to bed right away and awake in the wee early hours of the night. And so we're going to jump over to Ryan. So, Havel. Hi, welcome back. It's been nice having you here. You have been partying a lot. You have really rather enjoyed a lot of the free mead that these traders have given you, along with the roasted lamb that they have, and has really been enjoying it before eventually passing out on the road to quite a good buzz. And as you awake, you have quite the hangover. You haven't really had access to that much alcohol in a long time. And once you did, you went at it. You partied before, and so now coming to, you know that that father of the kid that you saved comes over and he goes, "Well, we'll be right on our way." And as soon as he comes over and claps you on your back, you have this terrible ringing in your ears.
Yep.
And I'm just really not feeling good.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I get up. I double check my valuables.
Mm-hmm. Everything is still there.
Wonderful. And I go, right. Well, Marcus, Senior, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I call to him. Marcus, Senior. How much longer do you think that it'll take for us to get to Athala?
Athala is... Let's see, we're between the settlement. It's about 7 days away.
Christ.
Should be just fine.
Well, do you have any stops along the way that you're planning?
Not really. We're just going to be making our way through.
Okay. I go, very well. I'll help pack, and I start trying to I fetch some of the things that we used for last night's festivities. And do I see young Marcus?
Mm-hmm. You can see him. He's just off the side of the road with that short sword that you had given him, just swinging at the tall flowers and the grass. Just ha 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 ha, and he actually swings just a little bit too much as the weight of the sword kind of comes up a little high and falls onto his butt.
I walk over to him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, Havel.
All right, Marcus. Hey, bud. Here, stand up. And I groggily just extend my hand for the kid.
Yeah, he takes it and kind of pulls himself up.
Okay. A bit early for this, but here. And I essentially am going to, at my best, without really doing any of the work. Mm-hmm. I take the short sword though, and I give him the Zuko sword as an extension of the arm speech.
Yeah. 100%.
And I hope that some of it sticks. And I pass it back to him. And I'm like, yeah, well, just remember those fine principles and try not to get yourself caught. I don't think your father would take quite kindly to that.
Yeah, he wasn't overly happy that I got it, but I insisted that I keep it, and he's letting me. So this is gonna be awesome.
Well, now at least you can defend the family, right? Protect the caravan.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I gotta go pack up my bedroll, so
Of
I'm gonna go
course.
do that. So yeah, I'll talk to you later, Havel.
Yeah, I start loading up like spice crates and stuff, like anything
Yeah.
that we removed. Yeah, some of the heavier
Definitely.
load.
It takes about half a day. So because they had all basically because everyone had basically stopped on the side of the road, all the travelers that came through, everybody is a little slow. They had a good meal. They partied. There's probably about 30 or so people that ended up showing up at this little side of the road party, and they're all a little hungover.
Yeah.
And they're well fed. So they're a little slow going. So you don't end up getting to leave probably until about 1:00 is when they start heading out.
Loading in one of the last crates, I'm just like, fucking Marcus is a liar. God, there you go.
Nice.
It's,
Is there anything you want to do? Are you going to travel with them, or?
I mean, okay, there's a faster way, right? Or is this the fastest way?
So there's two ways that you can go. There's one way that goes around the mountain, which is the one that they're going to go on. It takes about a week. Or there's one through this passage in the mountain that takes about 4 days, but is much sketchier because there's no protection and there's a lot less traveled.
Yeah. These guys. Oh, isn't that the one I was going on already? I was going on the...
Yeah, that was the one that you were planning on going on.
Okay.
You haven't quite made it to that pass yet. And so, Marcus mentioned that they usually go around the mountains instead of going through the pass.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find Marcus Sr.
Mm-hmm.
And as I approach him, I'm Marcus, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So thank
Yes,
you,
Havel.
thank you very much for your hospitality, sir. Thank you
Of
for you
course.
and your fine family. I am glad that I was able to find you with your son well. But I believe that this is the time where we part ways.
Oh, you're taking off?
Yes, well, you're taking the passage surrounding the mountain, and I unfortunately have places to be, people to see,
I suppose.
I have to I have to be timely for when I achieve my
Of
destination.
course. I completely understand. Thank you so much once again for
Thank
all
you.
that you did for my son. I very much appreciate it. And he takes his hand out to shake yours.
I grab it firmly.
At which point he pulls you in to this
Oh,
big old bear hug and
Jesus
squeezes and lifts you off the ground before setting you back down, slapping you on the back. Says,
Okay, Lantari.
What?
Oh, right.
I will let you be on your way then, I suppose.
You have a strong arm there, friend.
Carrying lots of boxes.
Very, very quickly though, Marcus. Do you mind? I seem to have burned through a portion of my rations. Any chance I
Say
can?
no more. And he goes over to the back of the caravan and grabs one of their satchels and stuffs it basically to the brim with a few different dried meats, some bread, and a block of cheese. And he hands this to you and says, "This is the least that we can do for you."
Can I take a portion of those spices too? I gesture at one of the things. I'm just
He
just a little
grabs
bit.
one of the bags and gives it to you.
Yes, and I like it. Oh, thank you so much. And I put it in my pack, and I go, very well. So, I suppose that should be everything. Safe travels. Do be wary. Watch
as
your
well,
son.
good friend.
He has a little bit of tenacity to him, from what I can tell.
Yes.
And
Well,
yeah.
I will let you be on your way as we need to be carried off. At which point he steps up onto his cart and snaps the reins, and the horses begin trotting along,
I go-
leaving you in the dust.
Yeah. As they're going along, I yell out to him like, "Hey, Marcus Jr., take care of yourself."
Bye, Havel. You can see at the back of the covered wagon, he sticks his head out and kind of waves until he can't see you anymore.
I'll see you in Athala. And then as soon as they go out of the way, I'm like, Okay, that was a lot of work for a child. That was a lot of work. Havel, that was very stupid of you. That was very foolish of you. You could have gotten yourself killed. You could have gotten yourself killed, and you could have had blood of a child on your hands. He looked like he was 18. He looked like he was 18. You gave him the sword because you thought he was appropriate age, but obviously he wasn't appropriate. Very well. Okay. I pull out. I look at the sun and try to get my bearings and figure out where the path is and that way. I should
100%.
start walking.
You turn and you do all this before going. I can just follow them for a little bit, and start making your way down that road. At which point I think we're going to take our break right now. So we'll be back in about 10 or 15 minutes to continue with this. Or we just left off with Havel beginning to wake his way towards Athala, and as exciting as that is, we're going to jump back over to Hannah and Drew.
Big sad.
So
Ryan doesn't get to play the game.
Nope.
No, Ryan's not going to play tonight. Drew, Hannah, you guys awaken. Melora and Kathyr, you guys awaken. It's actually a fairly cool morning. One of the coldest mornings we've had so far, a part of this year. As you guys know, fall is beginning to come in, summer is ending, and so this morning is beginning to get a little bit cooler. There's a little bit of dew along the ground. Kathyr, as you come out of your trance, as you kind of sit up, you can see that there's little droplets beaded up on your clothing and your armor. Melora, you don't quite have that same situation as you're a little bit higher up and in the tree, so there's a little bit more coverage. But it's the birds are chirping, the sun is just beginning to rise over the tree line. What would you guys like to do?
Well,
I'm going to check to make sure he's still there.
He's still there.
Am I still
All
alive?
right.
You
Yeah,
are
is he
still
alive?
Am I just lying? Am I
dead.
just dead?
Yes.
I'm going to
You bled
take out my daggers. I'm going to make sure. I don't want to wake her necessarily, but if she is awake, I want to tap her, make sure she's all right before I start climbing down. Make sure she's aware that that's what I'm doing. I'm going to use my daggers to climb down, and I'm going to walk over to Kathyr. Is he awake at the same time I'm awake, or do I wake up a little bit earlier, maybe a little later?
You probably wake up a little bit earlier. We'll say earlier.
All right.
Not quite awake.
Right. I'm going to walk over to the circle where he is.
Mm-hmm.
Rise and shine, sleeping beauty.
I just hold up a finger. I just sit up and crack my neck before I just put my just take down my camp, make sure all my stuff is put back in my bag, and throw my backpack around myself again. All right, well, you're the one from here. I suppose I'll let you lead.
I suppose that would be best, considering what happened yesterday. I just want to set some ground rules. I don't want to talk unless absolutely necessary.
All right.
All right?
Good.
Great. Let's go.
All right. I will follow her lead.
Fantastic. Where are you going, Melora?
Well, I am going to go, we were near the mountains, no?
Yep, you're right on the border of the mountains.
I'm going to go in the direction that I've seen many travelers take to get to the city.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, you begin making your way.
And is he taller than me? I am
He's just
about...
a little bit taller than you.
Alright, I'm going to purposefully go for trees that just pass my head but maybe hit him in the face.
I just casually duck under them.
Drew, ever so patient, follows the sassy wood elf as she leads her way through, I don't know what that sound is. As they lead her way through, you begin making your way west, just on the inside of the tree line, as you follow the mountains as they go west, heading towards either the outer skirts of the mountain, the outer rim of the mountains that people usually go around to get to Athala, or through I can't quite remember what the pass is called, but the mountain pass that goes through and basically drops you off right in front of Athala. You begin making your way west going across it, and you know that you probably have about 3 or 4 days of travel before you will get to that pass. During this time, I'll give you guys any opportunities to have character interactions. They're very, very, it's very easy trekking. You've known this section of the forest, especially as you move further west, you get further and further into sections that you know better and more so. So you, after about the first day, you really get to parts of the forest you begin to recognize and really understand. Still not anywhere near a trail quite yet, but you make your way through. The mornings are cold, the evenings are cold, but the days and the afternoons are still very nice, cool, mid to low 70s, high 80s, or not high 80s, high 60s, going through with just a little bit of a breeze going on. It's a gorgeous couple of days. So yeah, if you guys have anything that you want to talk about or anything character development you go through, not character development, but interactions.
While we're traveling, I'll just kind of walk up next to Melora and do you mind if I borrow one of your daggers? I promise I'll give it back.
What exactly do you need it for?
I take out my still in progress to be remade holy symbol. I'm just working on a little bit of woodwork, I suppose.
I take out my least favorite one, and I say, "Try not to prick your finger." Yeah.
I will.
And hand it to him.
I will give a slight bow. Thank you. And I will, as we're traveling, I'll kind of fall back a little bit and let her, do her thing. I won't try and, I'll honestly probably stay maybe, comfortable with, like, maybe make sure there's like a 5 feet distance between us, because she clearly doesn't want me around, so I won't be a bother.
Yeah,
and I'll
as
just
you
kind of
guys
work on that as we travel.
Perfect. As you guys ebb and flow, especially with you trying to work on your holy symbol, there will be several times where you'll be going through and begin getting a little distracted with that, trying to work on fine detail before you realize that she has gotten quite a bit ahead of you. And any time that it gets to be about that 120 feet, just about any time that you reach that distance, there's that little burning sensation that begins to go in on your arm.
Now, I know that this is very important to you, that it looks very pretty or whatever it is you're working on, but I think maybe if you could try to just like walk a little bit faster so this doesn't burn in my arm, that might be great. Thank you.
I will walk just a little faster, close the distance.
Thank you.
Nice.
Now, I have a question, Mr. Dungeon Master.
Hit me.
How does Ginger like him?
How does Ginger like him? It's interesting.
Because that's going to be the tell.
She hasn't really gotten to spend a whole lot of time with him. That's the thing, is that you guys have been very, very far apart, and you've spent any time that you guys could have stayed together for a little bit for her to get that test. You're going to bed. So right now, in the first day or two, you can't quite tell. You can't quite get the vibe. As you guys go through, it gets to be about the end of the second day of traveling. You're now in the part of the forest that you quite recognize, and you guys feel like it's about time to set up camp.
All right, we'll camp here. Now, I just want to know how you didn't know how to climb a tree. You look to be the same kind of elf as me. I just find it very funny that you didn't have the necessary skills to survive in the place that you're from.
You look at your hand
Yeah, I
versus
just
his
looked down. I
he's
take
a
off
moon
my
elf.
glove.
So he's blue and you're not.
Well,
That's a little racist, don't you
I
think?
don't know if you're colorblind, I suppose, and I'm not trying to be offensive here, but I'm a moon elf, and we do not live in these kind of environments. As if I put my glove back on.
I suppose that's... If you want to make excuses, I suppose that's reason enough. I still think you ought to learn the skill, especially if you're going to be traveling through the forest with me.
Alright,
So let's see then.
Alright, I will find a nearby tree, I guess.
That's right. You know what, Drew? You roll an athletics or an acrobatics
Alright.
check to climb this tree.
Sounds good. Oh my goodness.
There's a little bit of a buzz going on.
That's interesting.
Drew?
I
I think
apologize.
you have a little bit of static going on.
I know. It for some reason. Ooh, hey, that's pretty alright. For some reason, my headphone jacks is deciding to behave.
Interesting.
Okay, so that's athletics. So that's 22.
Oh my gosh. So you very humbly make your way over, just trying to please this girl who's very sassy. And you just go over, you look back, not being menacing or anything, but you just kind of look back and then grab the tree. And without much effort, you just kind of make your way up the tree to the first branch and sit there looking back at her.
Alright. Now, next time I would use your right foot first, just it might give you more headway on the tree. Now, do you feel like the branch can support you?
Do I feel like the branch can support me?
It's a thick old branch.
Okay.
Now, the way to tell if the branch can support you, if it shakes beneath your body when you sit down. So, for future reference, if it shakes, maybe you don't sit on that branch.
Alright.
You seem to be alright. You stay up there for the night. I'll find this one. And I find the other tree. I'm like, good night.
Good
Well
night,
done.
I suppose. I kind of just... grasping what shamble of I have of a holy symbol now again. Mm-hmm. I kind of just whisper to myself, it's like, this is a very weird one you gave me.
All right.
And yeah, I guess I will probably stay up for a little bit before I go to bed. I just...
Fantastic. Do you guys communicate about watches yet?
I suppose we can.
Well...
Now, considering that you find yourself in a nice sturdy tree branch, which I have to say I am impressed about, perhaps you should keep the first watch, now that you have your new high ground.
I was just going to say I'm willing to take the first watch, so that works out fine.
How gentlemanly of you.
Well, I suppose.
Good night.
Good night. And I will take the first watch.
Fantastic. Roll a perception check.
Okay. Also, while I'm at watch, I will use a divine sense at some point.
Okay.
Ooh, hey, that's all right. So that's perception. 22.
Nice. Remind me of what types of creatures you sense with divine
Celestial
sense.
fiends and undead.
Undead, okay. You don't sense anything with your divine sense. And as you're going through, listening, just trying to hang out, there is a little moment where you're just hanging out and you can just hear the natural sounds of the forest. There's birds chirping, you can hear an owl, bugs flying about, and you hear this little scamper, and up your tree, you kind of look down and you see this little red squirrel kind of make her way up the trunk. She just kind of goes over and she kind of like slowly makes her way towards you, trying to like see how you're going to react and judging your reaction.
I just with a slight smile, I kind of just look down to the squirrel. I was like, well, hello there, friend. Oh.
She takes like 2 more steps and kind of like starts like sniffing towards you.
Is there like an acorn or a nut somewhere on the branch or branches near me?
Sure.
I'll just kind of take one, and just kind of not like hold out my hand, but like how far away is the squirrel from me?
So are you sitting at the base of the branch, leaning against the tree? Yeah. So she's probably about 3 feet down from you now.
Is there a branch between us at all?
No, you're on the lowest branch at the moment.
I'll just kind of I'll set it somewhat in front of me, and just kind of gesture to it while looking at the squirrel. Granted, do I know the squirrel's name?
I did say her name.
Okay.
I said, "This is Ginger."
Okay.
When I showed
that's
my
right,
That's
pocket.
right. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'll just kind of look down at Ginger and be like, well, if you want it, I suppose it's yours.
She kind of goes up like another foot or so before going along the underside of the branch, so as to not like have to go over you, and she comes up around the top. and grabs it and begins kind of munching on it, and then looks up at you and like takes like 2 more steps forward, just enough that like the boot that you have, the leg that you have like extended on the branch, she kind of is like right there, and like kind of peeks her head out around. Or slowly she like sticks the acorn in her mouth and like slowly starts taking a couple of steps towards you.
Is she like getting like more or less on my boot at this point?
She's going around your boot and kind of like traversing the little like 1 inch bit of ledge that there is
as
between
I see
your
that
leg
happen,
and the edge of the branch.
I'll just slowly kind of just lean down and just like place my hand next to the branch, and just kind of hold it there.
She goes over and she like sniffs your hand, and then like presses like one paw onto it, kind of feels it out before slowly stepping onto it.
All right, I'll just again just slowly just kind of lift it up and just just a little bit in front of my face and just kind of smile. Well, I can see why Melora might like to have a companion like you around, I suppose.
At that, you've never seen a squirrel blush, but she like fluffs her tail a little bit and like shakes around, at which point she curls into a ball on your hand and just eats her nut before slowly you can tell that she actually goes to sleep on your hand.
Okay, I'll just... Now, visibly.
Oh no, you're all frozen.
I'm not entirely sure what I should do, so I just kind of like attempt to place her like on my shoulder, if at all possible, and kind of
in this like half sleepy stupor, you go to place her on her shoulder, and she just like kind of like crawls over before passing out on your shoulder.
Okay. And then eventually, there we go. Okay. Lost visual on Ryan for a second.
My camera's bugged out. Sorry, guys.
But yeah, and then after my watch is over, I'll, how far away is Melora from me?
She's in a tree about 20 feet away from you.
Okay. Well, I can't really move now. I'll just kind of, I'll kind of like just take like if there's another nut nearby, I'll just kind of like, I won't throw it at her. I'll just kind of lightly toss it towards the tree that she's in. Just
roll to hit.
Is like, can we like athletics or?
That would be your dexterity. Make a ranged melee attack.
That could be strength too, though, right?
Not ranged melee, a ranged attack.
Okay. That would be 12.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not proficient in nut throwing, so
that's fine. You chuck this little acorn, and it lands just above Melora's head before falling into her lap. At which point you're already on the verges of waking up yourself, and then this acorn falls in your lap, which isn't an uncommon occurrence. Things fall in your lap all the time, but you come to it, you see the acorn in your lap, but you don't feel ginger.
Melora, and I'll just Melora.
I can't find Ginger.
Hold on.
I can't find her.
Easy there.
Will you quit your yapping? I'm trying to find my squirrel.
Ginger is right here. She's okay.
I'm sorry?
Well, she crawled up to my tree branch and she fell asleep on my shoulder. If you want her back, you can have her. I don't... It's...
Dinna wake her.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be offensive. She just seemed... like I said to this girl, she seems like a very nice companion to have. I can see why you like her.
She is. I do. Well, dinna wake her. I suppose animals are the best judge of character.
All right. Thank you. I guess. If you don't mind, I might shut my eyes for a little bit.
I suppose that's all right.
And I'll just kind of lean back up against the tree and just close my eyes.
She's never done that before. No matter. Doesn't mean anything. Just another shoulder, besides.
You can feel a warm breeze begin to blow in, just enough to cause the branches to kind of ebb and sway, just enough, nothing concerning, there's no storm coming in, but just a nice gentle breeze coming through. I need you to go ahead and roll a perception check.
As Kathyr is falling asleep, he will kind of like just quietly say, although I must admit it's a beautiful night to be outside.
I suppose the wind is nice.
As I
It's an unnatural 20.
Nice. Yeah, you go through and throughout your night, that breeze stays fairly consistent. And after probably about 3 or 4 hours, it begins to get a little bit colder. And you can feel just a little bit of a stronger breeze coming in. Something more from the north coming through. And as the dawn begins to set in, the wind is still picking up just enough to keep blowing some leaves off, probably about 17 or so miles per hour, just kind of blowing through. And you, Kathyr, wake up to this as Melora is beginning to make her way down the tree.
Okay.
Before he went to bed, though, I say, scratch her behind her ears. She likes that.
All right. Oh. Before retroactively speaking, then I likely would have done that just a little bit before I went to bed.
Fine.
But and as I wake up with the kind of chill, I will because I kind of have a little bit of a scarf around my neck under my armor. It's not like a scarf. I don't know what you would call it. But I kind of just
neck gaiter.
I just kind of pull it up around my neck, and if Ginger wants to, I will let her kind of snuggle in that low, warmer area. Since
so between
everything
your
else is
armor
hard
that has,
it's
like,
like
the lip.
middle armor.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, the nice thing about it is you have like this little, basically an alcove right here between your neck and your armor that kind of forms, and it's kind of warm because it's right against your skin, and then there's the cloth and everything like that. So she's kind of like hanging out in there with her tail like dangling down across your chest, almost like a tie. And as you wake up, you can see that Melora is down on the ground, beginning to gather her things.
I will make my way down the tree, and then is Ginger still asleep at this point, or?
She's kind of awake, and as soon as you make your way down the tree, she jumps, or as soon as you begin to make your way down the tree, she jumps off the armor and crawls down the tree before booking it over to Melora, and just like makes her way up her leg and onto her arm and onto her shoulder right away.
Now, I'm not angry, but would you please tell me before you do that next time? I thought you were missing. You know what would happen if I lost you?
She
At
just
least.
like cuddles up into your neck.
I know. So, you like him, do you?
No response.
Well, I hold out my pocket.
Mm-hmm. She scurries down into it.
Well, I suppose we should keep moving then.
I suppose we should.
Fantastic. You guys make your way through. For that breeze is pretty consistent throughout the rest of the day. And as you begin to get towards about halfway through the day, you get back to what you know to be one of the main roads that goes through Villanova, and begin making your way south towards Oclaron. And you get about another half a day's of travel before there is a strong breeze that starts to take place, and it begins to drop in temperature towards just as it's beginning to get dark, and you can tell that there's a storm beginning to roll in. Not quite raining there, but the wind is picking up. It is getting colder. You guys think that you probably need to find a pretty decent shelter.
Okay.
Now, do I, given that I know the area, may I know about a cave, perhaps, that would be nearby that would offer some good shelter from the wind?
Yeah, you know that probably just about a mile south, on the what would be your left side, there is a cave that would be a pretty good shelter. And as you guys make your way towards this Havel, you've been making your way through Villanova. And I've experienced the same thing over the last couple of days. You've been going through, and the wind has been pretty consistent as of yesterday as you made your way down. You haven't quite made it to your pass yet. The pass is basically the entrance to Oclaron, and you're still in Vianola, traveling through that forest. And so you've been making your way down, and that storm has been just chasing your heels just a little bit, and you're realizing that it's probably going to hit in the next couple of hours, and are going to be looking for shelter as well.
I don't know this place. Let me think. Does it feel like it's a big enough storm that I can't like just rough it out in my tent?
It's
like
probably as the wind is picking up right now, like the trees are swaying and moving, and there's like leaves blowing off. You're getting the sense that it's going to be a pretty decent thunderstorm.
Okay. First, Havel goes. And he just kind of looks up at the sky and goes, So I leave the fine family, and this is what you're pulling for me, huh? This is what you've decided on. What a bunch of fucking assholes. Okay. Well, I don't know. I call out. I'm like, is anyone nearby? Any travelers?
Are we nearby?
Hannah.
Hello.
Yeah, you guys hear a little ways in the distance, probably not too far away. There's one person going, "Hello, is there anybody out there?"
I take out my sword.
I don't know.
Just to be at the ready.
I don't know where I am. Well, faintly.
I will. Kathyr will start making his way towards that direction.
Oh,
Excuse me?
you brush past Melora.
Dashing.
Where are you going?
There's someone in need of help.
Dashingly
It's not
handsome
necessarily our
tiefling.
problem.
No, it's not necessarily our problem, but we can help.
Well, I suppose I have to go wherever you go, so lead the way if you can.
I will.
You strut down the road.
Dashingly handsome tiefling with no money at all. I am not a target to be robbed.
As we start to get closer, Mr. DM, I will do one more divine sense.
Yeah, definitely. You don't sense anything from your divine sense.
That's good. That means that this
as you get
person
closer, you
isn't
can
evil,
see
maybe.
Or good.
Does he?
You've
Wait,
also seen
doesn't he
celestials.
sense fiends?
Celestial fiends and undead.
Celestial fiends and undead.
I guess. I guess as a
Technically
tiefling.
Am I technically a fiend?
Technically a fiend?
No, you're not technically a fiend. Technically, you're
I'm not
humanoid.
technically
It's-
a fiend.
It's the stereotype.
Right,
Yeah,
or
that tieflings are
that-
fiends. Yeah.
yeah.
But
No,
crazy
you're not.
human.
You're not.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So
You're a
we're
humanoid.
They're not terribly
So you-
wrong though in that regard.
Maybe for Havel. So you make your way down, and as you kind of round this bend just a little bit, you can see that there's one fairly well-dressed tiefling with these two sets of horns, ones that come up and then ones that curl around with this black, dark hair that comes around the backside, just kind of standing in the middle of the road
It's like
with his hands on his hips,
looking around
looking at you.
well, hello, traveler.
Oh, hi. Well, I actually wasn't expecting that to work. Wow.
Well,
dear.
fate works in mysterious ways, you could say.
Or you could say that we're two travelers that have pretty good ears to work for ourselves, and we were yelling in the middle of the forest that could bring attention to you.
That's a very perceptive sense that you have there, elf. Do you have shelter by any chance? I do think that there's a storm coming in, and I would much rather not be a part of it.
As much as I would rather not. I suppose the cave has room enough for 3.
I could pay you if necessary.
I didn't care much for money, but if he has use for a coin, I suppose that could do something for him.
I'll pass on that. But thank you.
Well, of course, no issue at all. Please, show me to your cavern, humble abode.
Gladly.
I
I didn't live
guys-
here. It's for the storm.
As we start walking, I will put my blade away and kind of hold out a hand. As we're walking, and I'll just say, "Oh, I'm Kathyr, by the way."
I
okay.
take his hand and bow deeply, and I go,
Hannah had the same thought.
take,
Like, oh, are you trying to hold Melora's hand? Like, what the heck is happening?
I take his hand and bow deeply. And I go, I am Havel. The pleasure is mine, at your service.
Kathyr Ebenthar.
Pleasure.
Melora,
Pleasure. Well then.
this is Ginger.
Oh.
She crawls out of my pocket to my shoulder.
I used to have a pet
She
myself.
stands very proudly, trying to show off how beautiful her mane is right now.
What a gorgeous little creature you are. I used to have a pet myself, actually. Nothing quite as majestic, though.
Aye, what was it?
Just a weasel. A small one.
Ugh.
Yeah.
What was its name?
So, funnily enough, I named it quite after one of the old friends that I had back home. At least one of my father's old friends. His name was Lawrence. Yeah. Weaselly little fellow, and I, assumed that it was comparable.
I named my bow after my wee brother.
Oh, yeah? What's the name?
Aye, Aster. It means faith and loyalty.
That's a fine name for a weapon. It'll do you well.
Aye. Do you name your weapons?
My weapons, I named my weapons. I suppose I had a weapon that was named, not so much anymore. I've decided to stray away from it until I find something that's worth the name. But as of right now, I just have this small rapier, and I gesture towards the weapon, kind of covered by my cloak. And I'm just like, it's not much, but it does its purpose. So.
Aye. I name all my weapons. My father used to do the same. I just took after him. I just thought that since my wee brother helped my father carve the bow for me, that the name seemed appropriate. And it's never let me down either, so...
I had a comrade, or coworker, I suppose you could say, who said that if you name your weapons, they will serve you well, like a friend.
Aye. I have noticed.
Very well. Well, we should probably get out of the storm here.
I suppose we should. I start walking.
Yeah.
And I take a moment to realise I was a little vulnerable for a second there, and I mostly think...
Kathyr is visibly surprised at what Melora says.
And I think it's because he had the connection to having a pet weasel. And it kind of just like... Talking about pets and about animals and rodents, specifically woodland creatures, kind of makes me light up in a way that other things don't. And so I take note of that. I'm like, well, that was fucking scary. And I start walking.
You haul your way down this road, trying to like put some distance between you, to the point that you actually get about 120 feet in front of Drew and have to stop because the stupid burn on your arm.
While we...
At which point, Kathyr, you're just looking ahead and like looking at Havel, kind of in shock before you make your way following her.
While we make our way, I'm just like kind of falling behind and doing a nice like jovial little march along with them. Start just trying to figure out a limerick, but not quite getting there.
Mr. DM, as we're walking, can I see the symbol at all on my arm?
For the little bit that Melora had like stubbornly tried to stay away from you, it actually managed to burn a hole in your armor as your armor goes around the backside or on the side of your arm, and so on the inside here, there's a little hole in your...
Where it was more like leathers
clothing.
and stuff, not necessarily plates. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And it right there, you can see it's a little circle, probably about an inch in diameter, with one little line on the left side on the inside.
Interesting. I don't recognize that, do I?
Roll a history check.
There once was a man from Morencia. I would have gone... No, that doesn't work.
I get frustrated when my arm burns again, and I walk
14.
a little... Sorry.
14? Yeah, you can't think of anything that you've seen that has that symbol.
I walk a little closer, and I say it would do you well to keep up with me, especially since the storm is coming. And I don't think you want your armor to get more damaged with that hole in your arm whenever you get far enough from me.
There's a hole in his arm.
Aye. He did something to me, and now I can't get away from him.
I just,
do you mind?
I just smile just slightly to myself.
That doesn't.
I suppose it would do no harm.
I approach her and like in a slight whisper go, if you're in danger, blink twice.
I appreciate the sentiment, and although I feel as though I didn't wish to be here, he hasn't done me any harm, and he was good to my squirrel.
Very well. And do I recognize anything when I look at the symbol or the hole or whatever?
You can see she raises it up, and there's probably about an 1.5 inch diameter hole that's kind of this ragged hole in her shirt, and inside of it, just on the inside between the bicep and her elbow, just kind of right in this little area, there's you can see the scars, same as Kathyr's. It's a circle with one little line on the inside, and it looks like she looks like she's been branded, is basically what it looks like it happened.
That's malicious.
I didn't know how it happened. I was exploring a cavern, and he happened to... I did something, maybe I took something I shouldn't have took, and suddenly this black ooze was flowing after me, and I ran into him, and he couldn't just keep running. He was being all silly, and then I got out of the cavern, and it turns out he had lured like 4 monsters to it, and I had to save his ass because he kind of take care of himself. And the next thing I know, I tried to leave, and there's this freaking hole in my arm. I have had the worst day of my life. Days, I suppose. I didn't even know how many days it's been. I'm sorry.
Don't even consider apologizing. I mean, simply put, I could probably agree on the whole idea that the couple of days haven't been going the best. And you all both seem to be much worse for wear, but I mean, at least on my end, I almost got eaten by a troll. So, I suppose that we're all a little bit haggard.
I suppose so. And I turn to Kathyr. So, it would do us well to keep the pace up while we're going to the cave.
I just nod.
You begin hustling again and make your way. This time, Kathyr and Havel kind of keep up, making sure not to poke the mother bear.
Light jog. Hut 2, 3, 4. Hut 2, 3, 4.
Exactly. Like well-trained soldiers, they march promptly behind you and make their way down. You only need to go a little bit, about half a mile before you make your way in towards the forest. At which point you kind of begin to go uphill, and as you crest over this hill, not over the summit, but you come around the side of this hill, and on the backside of it, kind of is this cave, which conveniently faces the opposing direction of the wind.
I'd like to make sure that there are no bears residing in the cave before we enter.
Yeah, it's pretty big, probably about 15 feet in diameter, but it's not overly deep. As you look in, you can see to the backside of it, and it's lit, and you can see that there's no creatures in there at the moment.
All right, excellent. I enter and I say, this is where we'll camp. It'll protect us from the wind.
Great. And I'll throw off my pack and immediately turn around and start to get some firewood.
I lay my bedroll down at the entrance, or at least near the entrance. And that's...
I say to Kathyr, and I'm like, well, make sure you don't get too far away looking for firewood.
Don't worry, Your Highness. I'm not going very far at all.
You'll have to be quick. It looks like the storm is coming pretty fast.
I hope you know how to find the right kind of firewood.
No response.
Go ahead and roll an investigation check for me, Drew.
Nope.
Can I was gonna say this before. I don't know if this is too late. Can I join him because I actually want to ask him
go
stuff.
for it.
So I'm gonna join him. And,
Do I have
can I help
advantage?
him? Yeah, can I help him?
Yes.
I guess.
I will use a different guy.
Please do.
Like casually, just like half
Much
helping
better.
him.
Much better. Alright. So, yeah, okay. That's much better. So that's
Having a
14.
rough night with the rolls, I've noticed, Drew. Okay.
By the way, the first roll was a natural 1.
Incredible.
That would have been so much. That would have been so funny.
That would have been, yes.
As Melora literally rips you to shreds.
But yeah, I'll just be like one arm is holding it, and the other is just grabbing branches and twigs and leaves.
Exactly. Doing a good job to make sure you don't go out too far, staying just within about 100 feet of the cave. And you guys do manage to find a good amount of firewood.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's more like one of those things where it's like we're walking out and he like goes to reach for something. I'm like, that's poison oak. He's like, oh. But as we're out, we're a fair distance away from the cave, right? And like I don't think that that Melora will hear me, right?
No, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys are sticking to about that 100-foot range.
I stay like I'm kind of behind Kathyr while this is going on, and I approaching him. I'm just like, you're a holy man.
I suppose you could say that. I don't
You
really
seem
consider
to-
myself one, but I am learning about the faith.
To whom do you pray, if you don't mind me asking? I don't know if that's prying, but
Well, if that's an interesting story, actually.
if it's too long to tell, you can tell me later. But
Well, I'll keep it short, but the thing is, I'm looking for answers. And I'm thinking answers are southward. And I'm not really sure what's to call them. But there are three, actually. I know them as the widow, the gravedigger, and the thief.
do I recognize these names at all?
Roll a religion check.
By the way, DJ, I don't know if this is happening for anyone else, but DJ's really is starting to get quiet again for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit further away. I can scoot forward again.
That's beautiful and perfect in every single way. That is a natural one.
So you go through and you think, and you're an intelligent boy.
Yeah, I've read.
And you
I've
grew
read a
up
lot.
in church.
I grew up in the church.
You know, so you think through, but those three narratives aren't ones that you
Yeah.
recognize for any of the gods that you
Dad
know
would
of.
not be proud.
You'd fail your
I'd
test.
fail my test. I'm unfamiliar with the names, but I will. I'll keep an eye out for the monikers, I suppose.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I do. You're heading. Where are you heading, by the way? I forgot to ask you all that.
Well, I was heading towards Athala.
As am I.
All right, that works well, I suppose. Hopefully, granted, I'm not sure how appreciative of Melora would be of that. And to be honest, I do feel bad. I did not wish this upon her. Well, to be honest, and while she might not appreciate me being here, I've just been trying to do what I can to make sure she's all right. I know that's weird to say and creepy in some circles, but it's like I said, I'm a man of faith, and part of that comes from a very personal connection I seem to have with those who I serve, and they've been guiding me, and they led me to her. And I've just tried to do what I can, I suppose.
Kathyr.
No, and well, to be fair, she's been more helping me, but
I grab him. I put my hand on his shoulder and look deep into his eyes, and I go, Kathyr, it's one thing to be a man of faith, but I want you to know the gods spin a very tragic tale, and it's tragic for everyone. There are beauties, and there are a ton of tragedy in all of it. But I'm begging you. And this is coming from someone who I grew up in the church. I know what the gods lend. I do not want you to be the man that walks blind faith. Because with blind faith, they may lead you off a cliff, and then in turn serve you as a message. Be wary.
Look, at this point, Kathyr actually looks up at Havel, who is at this point probably been more avoiding eye contact and looking at branches and
Havel's
stuff
just
like that.
staring like daggers.
And I stare just as hard back at him, and I say, "Well, Havel, I appreciate the warning, but I promise you, I'm no fool. I know what I'm doing. Whether or not it's a blind faith, you might be right with that, but it's not a foolish one. but I do appreciate
Then
the warning.
I pat him on the back, like, really hard. And I just go, well then, I suppose we should probably get the firewood back then.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And then, like, I, like, take a couple steps forward, and, like, before I get too far away, I turn around and I go, by any chance, you're not a man that keeps ledgers, are you, or are a man, or know of men that keep ledgers?
Well, Mr. DM, I mean, there's no in particular that would come to mind that I can think of.
No?
Well, oddly enough, I suppose myself in a weird way. Back home I did a little bit of bookwork, but other than that,
Not the kind of bookish that I'm looking for, but I appreciate your willingness, I suppose.
now Havel,
Kathyr,
as we're walking back at this point, I assume.
yeah.
Havel,
Mhm.
now if I might ask, what is it that you're looking for?
That is a very good question. You know, I suppose for the longest time I've been looking for love, sight, the finest of mead. But in full sincerity, I guess in all my travels, the closest thing that I could say that I've truly been looking for, and I guess I've been without for a long time, is family. So I guess I'm just looking for someone or something. I'm not entirely sure where that is, but I think Athala is a good start.
Mr. DM, do I believe him?
Roll an insight check.
Ooh. 18.
Havel,
That was a 20. That was a 20, by the way, to mask anything.
yeah. He seems genuine.
Okay.
Like, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a little,
He
little
seems
hard
like-
to read, but yeah.
It'd be possibly a little hard to read. He might be exaggerating a little bit, might be over dramatizing things, but he seems to be the type of person to do that with just about everything. So take it as you
Right.
will.
And I assume we're probably back to the cave by this point.
Yeah, at this point you're just about back to the cave.
And as soon as we get to the cave, I'm just like, elf girl, we've come back with the wood.
I don't think you should call her that.
Oh, it'll be very interesting, won't it? And I take a step into the cave.
You know, I think it'd do you well to call me by my real name. I didn't take it nicely to nicknames.
Okay, I apologize. I'm sorry.
Well, at least it looks like you've got good wood. I'll take it from you.
Won't be the first time that's been said to me.
I will hand the wood to her and let her handle all that, because she is the survivalist.
I didn't acknowledge what Havel said, and I start making a fire.
Nice. Yeah, you definitely get a fire going. With the amount of wood that they actually managed to gather, you guys can have a pretty hearty fire for a pretty long time. You, being a seasoned outdoorsman, know that this storm could last for several days. So you, instead of burning it all and just enjoying it all, you reserve most of it and keep a pretty modest fire going. But you do get that all set up and ready to go.
Well, while we're sitting around the fire, at some point, Kathyr will come back over to Melora and say and take out the dagger that he borrowed. Here, I don't really need it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure it served you well.
Yeah, well, it works better than a full longsword.
What is it you're making?
Oh, and I kind of look down. Well, when I was looking for you, the door was shut. And, well, after a bit of trial and error, I sacrificed my holy symbol.
Oh, holy symbol.
It's,
I didn't catch what you mean.
it's, well, best way I know it's a representation of myself and my connection with my Gods.
I didn't have one of those when I got in.
I don't know, but I had to. My sister back home, she made it for me, and it was very dear to me, and I sense that it's something to do with that. But
I'm sorry you had to lose that.
well, it's led me to you, I suppose, and while you might hate that, I suppose. At least I can be here to keep you, as to be a meat shield, I suppose, while you do all the hard work.
I can take care of myself.
That is very obvious.
Now, can a book be a holy symbol?
Have I ever encountered that, DJ?
It definitely, from what you've seen, it definitely would be unique. They don't usually work that way. Like, there are holy texts and stuff like that people will carry with them, but usually they do have something separate that is a specific representation of the symbol of their god. So not usually.
Well, I suppose it's certainly possible. I've never encountered
That's how I got in.
That's how you got in? With
Aye.
the book?
Aye.
Did the book burn?
Aye. It wasn't mine.
What?
Did you read it?
I couldna. It was in a language I couldna recognise. I could get a feel for the map, and, you know, the maps were drawings, so obviously I could understand those, and it led me to the temple, which is where you found me, I suppose.
Do you remember any of the symbols?
Do I?
You remember the symbols, the connotation that were used.
So is the ground soft enough to take one of the pieces of firewood and draw with it?
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's a really shallow cave, just barely going like probably 10 feet back, and basically it's like there's grass around it, and then it's stone that you're actually like laying on, but there's a little bit of sand that kind of stands on top of the stone that you can definitely draw in.
I'd like to do that.
Yeah, so she goes through and she begins drawing some of the symbols, and they're the same symbols that are used for the language on the rod.
Okay. Okay. That's... Okay.
Do I recognize it at all?
Roll a history check, Havel.
He's yet to do that.
See who all recognizes it.
That could have been better. 14.
About what I got.
You
Yeah.
you are going through it, and you can tell, as one who speaks many different languages and has spoken many different languages, that it's definitely something that a lot of different languages have drawn from. It's like Latin, quote unquote, where like English and Spanish and all that have come from it, but it's the predecessor. It's definitely that older language. You can't read it all that well. There are certain things about it that are way different than what you recognize.
A bit lost
and
in
understand,
esoteric kind of feel. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, to be honest, I was... And where did you find this book?
I may have borrowed it without asking.
From who, might I ask?
You know, I don't think we really need to worry ourselves about who...
Melora, those people might be looking for you. You do get that, right?
I do know, but as you can see, I'm very careful and I travel in the trees most of the time.
Oh, I
Besides,
like her.
I got a vision while I was in the cavern of this woman with long black hair, and, you know, the hair was covering her chest, but she wasn't wearing clothes. And she had the rod and she was leading people, and she had two men, or at least I assume they were men, there is no way to tell, just covered in black and gold armour. And, you know, the person that I borrowed from wore armour that reminded me of that. He was able to just touch the trees and soak it up, so to speak. I mean, it creeped me out. I didn't let Ginger look, but he seemed to be bad news, and so I went looking in his tent. and I took the book, and I almost took a dagger, but, I heard my mother's voice in my head, telling me, dinna poke your nose where it didn't belong, so I did not take that, but, I kind of feel bad, though, because, he blamed the guards, and I'm pretty sure he killed one of them, but I had already gone away, and I just followed the map in the book, and it took me to the temple, and then I just placed the book on the stones, and it burned, and then it opened up, and then I went inside.
Right.
Something to note, Havel.
I was gonna say.
When she goes through and she starts to describe that woman and the two men next to her, you recognize that scene. It's a very famous scene in history of the first wave of the trial going through.
That's a concerning. Yeah, dude. As soon as you finish up, I'm like, you Havel very much just kind of like furrows into his cloak and just goes. And you said you saw those things, right?
When I was sleeping, I fell asleep in the cavern.
While you were sleeping. Oh, by the gods! I thought the end of days was happening.
I
don't. Okay, maybe you should preface the fact that there was a vision, but even then,
I'll try to be more careful with my words next time.
Well, see, you see here, Melora. I don't think you realize. You quite literally just described an ancient event. Possibly one of the more famous events to occur, predating the exact unification of humanity.
Well, there was a mural in the cave that looked like the exact same thing, so maybe I just dreamed about it because I saw it.
Wait, no offense, Melora, but I doubt it. Why?
The gods weave very, very frightful tales.
I'm sure they do. Besides, it's been about a week, and they haven't caught me, and they didn't know who I am because they didn't see me. So, I'm not very concerned.
DM. Do I recognize the colors of the people that she stole from? Of their armor?
As she goes through and she described some of the armor, you know that the soldiers that were being led wore the colors of Athala, that
nice
maroon with the gold. But the man that led them, as she described him, was this man with black and gold armor that you wouldn't recognize from Athala.
Well, good news. Good news. Very good news. If we manage to make ourselves present to this wondrous city of Athala, our gracious little ranger here, our little tree farer, will very much have to wear a disguise of some sort, because we are going directly to the people that she stole from.
How do you know that?
Because I recognize the colors that you described, if your memory serves you correct.
Oh, it does. My memory's very good.
Well, then that serves very poorly for us now, doesn't it? We're all probably walking into a great, great mistake, but you're in luck. We're all in luck.
Oh, am I?
Yes, you are, believe it or not. I used to work with a carnival. So, if you could get me some paint, a little bit of makeup of the likes, maybe a wig.
Do I look like a vending machine?
No, of course not. But when we get near Athala...
What's a vending machine?
Of course not. I don't...
Do I look like a general store?
For sincerity, you do not look like a Sephora, but we, together, once we get into town, you can wait on the outskirts. You like to stay hidden, yeah?
Aye.
Well then, we can make it into Athala, and I can get you into the city, so that way you don't have to suffer for much longer, yeah? Because you have to stay near this gentleman, don't you?
Aye.
Yeah, so you're kind of stuck, and he needs to go into Athala, so unless you want to be writhing in pain for a extended period of time, then I'd suggest that you just maybe work with me. I trust me, I mean the best. And Kathyr, You said you were looking for books, right? For answers.
Correct.
I know.
I have books.
You have books.
I?
What sort of books do you have?
Well, they might be falling apart, but I took them from the cave.
Well, that's wonderful.
I took them out.
I will.
She takes out these two. Yeah, she takes out these two tomes. Both of them bound in brown leather, with inscriptions on the side. These ones are both in Elvish, and are in fairly decent condition. Definitely falling apart. Definitely frayed along the edges. The spine's broken a little bit. But they are written in a very old dialect of Elvish, kind of something that you can read, but it's like, you know those things on Facebook where it's like they jumble the letters in the word, but the first and the last letter are the same, so you kind of know it. It's that type of reading.
Okay.
Where you're going through and you're like, yeah, I know what this is saying, but man, do I have a headache.
Or like the word is similar enough in your language that you're like, I think that's what it is.
Exactly. And they're both historical novels describing different time periods. One of them from probably about 700 years ago or so, describing a small famine that happened, and then the other is from much older, and this is the one in a much worse condition, describing similar events to that you had a vision of.
Interesting. At this point, the storm is pretty much raging at this point.
Yeah, at this point, it's coming in. The wind is beginning to howl quite a lot. And as you guys are pulling these books out, you can see droplets beginning to fall. And within 30 seconds, it's downpouring out and very, very loud.
As the rain begins to fall, Kathyr will actually, I will just go stand towards the edge of the cave. Not to the point that I'll start to get wet, but just kind of stand towards the edge and just kind of watch the sky.
Yeah, you can see the clouds blowing through and billowing. Every once in a while, you see a little flash that will go through them and ripple through them. It's a very beautiful yet aggressive storm.
I turn to Havel and I say, "You can do whatever you want to my face. Dinna touch my hair."
Understood, my lady. We will make you the finest person in Athala, which isn't honestly all that difficult, but finer than you are now.
Havel, have you been to Athala before?
Passing.
I haven't been to a city before.
Ever?
Or you
Dinna know if you can tell.
would have never thought.
Well, I suppose it'd be a fun new experience.
If?
I didn't know if fun is what I would use to describe it.
Well, probably not, but it will be an experience nonetheless.
If a small
My cat wants out.
Oh. We'll wait for Kitty Cat to leave.
Now,
A cat goes crawling out.
I know.
do you already have a plan as to what you might do?
Are you talking to me?
Havel.
What I might do, when I get to Athala, for myself or for you?
For Melora.
Well, I suppose I could probably, I know some people, have some favors. Potentially could ask, to see if maybe we could get something for her.
Now,
Make her a bit more inconspicuous.
is there a way to not involve other people? Because the more people that know that she's even in the area, the more danger she could be in.
They won't
You're
know that.
acting like I killed somebody.
They won't know that it's for her.
All right. And do you have ways to acquire this?
Well, makeup is a very hot commodity in most places. But I think I could probably scrounge around a little bit, find something for her that will make her, again, blend into the crowd a bit more. Someone so colorful and extravagant as herself, it'd probably be a smart idea to dull down some of her features.
And
What about Ginger?
Just keep her in your pocket.
All right, I could do that.
That being said, Madam, Forager and Mr. Big Muscular Elf Man, I am quite exhausted, and we have a lot of traveling ahead of us, so we should all probably get some sleep.
I'll take first watch. I'll
Maybe.
just kind of sit down and lean against the rock as I continue to watch the storm.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth, but I suppose you can have it.
Mine as well.
I go to bed.
I suppose I'll take second.
I'll take last. I will gladly
We
go to
won't
sleep.
need it by then.
So one, I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to remove all of the coins. You know which ones I'm talking about. And I put those in my boots.
What?
Okay.
And I take my pouch of coin. And I quite literally am going to sleep with it in between my legs.
Nice.
Like right up against my crotch.
Okay.
Nice.
Like if
Yeah,
anyone
okay.
is touching,
Got
like
it.
it is not going
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get comfortable with these goddamn horns.
You mostly have to lay on your back.
Do I?
And the worst part about it is the horns like curl around the backs of your head.
So I'm
and
like
you're,
rocking.
Just lifted off the ground just a little
Yeah.
bit. Just enough that your like neck is ever so slightly engaged.
Do I notice
Yeah, I was gonna
this?
say, do I notice this?
You guys can very clearly, visibly see that he is struggling to get comfortable with his horns.
Did you just get those horns?
They were a gift from my mother. A very, very personal gift.
I could imagine why, since genetics.
Yes.
Aye.
Do you require like a bedroll or something to lay your head on?
Yeah, well, I not necessarily. Actually, I haven't tried that yet. Mainly, I've been sitting upright to kind of sleep, but that's been getting very tedious.
I just point towards my bedroll that is on the top of my pack. Well, if you would like to try it, I suppose you can
I
have
mean,
mine.
For full sincerity, it's been years, and I still can't even manage. But I mean, you're offering? Are you sure that you want me to have your bedroll?
Well,
Just in a puncture it.
I don't want to tear a hole. That is very true. She makes a good point.
to be fair, even if you do, it's just not a big deal.
I tell you what. I take my pack and I just like very uncomfortably like prop myself up against it a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't working. And I'm like, I'll be fine. Thank you. I'll be fine though.
All right.
Please, have a nice night, everyone. And it was like stiff as a board. Like, yeah.
I set up in the same position that I would if I were in a tree, and I offer either my pocket, my shoulder, or my lap for Ginger.
She takes your pocket. Yeah, and Kathyr, you gonna do anything before you go on watch?
Well, I suppose from my bag, I'll make sure to grab my journal again, and just as I'm looking out in the storm, just be writing things down that come to mind, and probably occasionally just, grasping my holy symbol and just kind of looking out and thinking, thinking about what's all happened.
Okay. As the rain is pouring down, you can hear low rolling claps of thunder in the distance. The water dripping off leaves and branches and flowing through the forest. That is where we're going to finish the session.
Nice.
Good job, guys.
All right.
You guys absolutely killed it. You did it. You guys made it to each other. And you didn't die.
I didn't want it
Everything's
to end.
I didn't. It was very fun.
I know.
I was
I'm
enjoying
sorry.
it.
One more week, and then you guys get to play
Right.
every single week. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this was really good.
Good.
I'm very excited.
I hope hope everyone enjoyed this podcast exclusive episode of the Paper Dungeon. We were really, really excited to kind of try out this not new, quote unquote, but this format. So this should be super, super fun. Obviously, we already released everything on the podcast, but we want to just be able to like highlight that and really make it so that you guys get something that's just yours, which is going to be super, super rad. So, again, definitely check out the Paper Dungeon Twitch on Monday, the 7th of September. I'm struggling with that word. To get our first full session when we really bring in all 6 of these guys and really absolutely crush it. And then this upcoming Friday, we're going to be doing the same thing with Grant and Lydia, where we do a podcast exclusive episode for you guys. So definitely check that out. It'll be at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. So definitely go look that up. Do you guys have anything you want to say? Anything you want to talk about?
It was a lot of fun
I'm
playing.
very excited to continue this campaign.
I'm both excited and terrified.
As you should be. Fantastic. Well, if that's all we have to say, we love you guys. We're so thankful that you guys listened with us. We hope that we can keep producing these for you guys. Everybody have an awesome week. And we hope that we see you guys again next time that we tune in. So everyone enjoy their night. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Dungeoneers.